right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to KnowItAllDM Entertainment. I'm KnowItAllDM. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Today is just a quick video asking the question, should I play Neverwinter Nights as a Let's Play on my channel? Now, a lot of you may have already realized this, and others of you may not, but the DM in KnowItAllDM stands for Dungeon Master. And I have been a huge fan of Dungeons & Dragons for decades. And one of the earliest Dungeons & Dragons video games that I have ever played is Neverwinter Nights. It's a classic. I believe it came out in like the early 2000s. And I mean, that's when I found it was the early 2000s, 2005, 2006, somewhere around there. And it has been my favorite Dungeons & Dragons game forever. For the computer, anyway. And so I've got two questions for you. One, would you be interested in watching me play through the main campaign of Neverwinter Nights? And if yes, what character should I play? Race, class combination. Just so we can get into what the races and classes are, for those of you who don't know anything about Dungeons & Dragons and would like to learn. For the first off, this game was built during Dungeons & Dragons 3.0, but some of the rules in it are slightly more advanced towards 3.5, but 3.5 had not been created yet. So some of the feats and such are different than they were in 3.0 and more similar to what they were in 3.5. So it's more of like a 3.25 version of Dungeons & Dragons. So the races and classes we have, the races, first of all, you've got dwarf, elf, gnome, halfling, half-elf, half-orc, and human. Now, if you don't know anything at all about fantasy, you've been living under a rock. But for those of you who have at least watched one Lord of the Rings movie, yeah, you know what a dwarf is, you know what an elf is. Halflings are like hobbits. They're short people, small, use smaller weapons and all, more thievish in their abilities in general. Half-elves are human-elf hybrids, and half-orcs are orc-elf hybrids. Or orc-human hybrids, sorry, my brain, I don't know. Anyway, I'll just edit that out. Half-orcs are orc-human hybrids. And then gnomes are sort of like, they're small gnomes. I don't know how to describe them. I mean, they're, think about small dwarf-elf combinations, sort of. They're magical, but they're also earthy. They're tough but small. They're weird. Gnomes are very weird. I actually like playing gnomes for some reason. But in any case, we're just gonna skip on over to the classes. The classes that they have that you can start out on are barbarians. Barbarians are tough warriors who use the primal rage to get a boost of strength and power in combat. Bards use music to create magic. It may sound kind of but it's actually one of the more interesting classes because it combines like rogue type abilities with magic, with, you know, you can get a swordplay build. You can pretty much build a rogue for any situation. You can build a combat rogue, you can build a stealthy rogue, you can build a magic-based rogue, or bard, sorry. Combat bard. let me redo that. You can build a combat-based bard, a magic-based bard, or a stealthy-based bard. You know, just about anything you want. If you want something that's sort of a fighting rogue, you can do a bard. If you want a roguish mage, you can do a bard. Bards are sort of a cram everything into one class, and it's not as good as any of the other classes at each individual thing, but it can do a lot of things. A jack of all trades, if you will. Clerics are faith-based combat healers. They use magic for healing and such like that, along with combat. They're sort of combat priests, I guess. Druids are purely magical, but they can hold up in combat. They eventually get the ability. I don't know if they can actually do it in this game. In 3.0 and 3.5, they had a shape-shifting ability called Wild Shape, where they could actually transform into different things. I don't remember if they can do that in this, though. It's been so long since I've played this. Now, this is actually the enhanced version, which is like the updated version that they came out with a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, I don't remember. But so a lot of the things have been improved and updated, especially like screen resolution, because normally this would be on like a small little, yeah, it was terrible. But I've been playing around with it. I went through the first part of the first chapter of it just to test, see how well it is, and it's really gotten me back into the feel for it. And I'm like, I want to know, I want to play this, but I also want to get more content for my channel. So if I'm going to be playing this and putting content out, you know, it'd be great. Anyway, back to the classes. Fighters. Yes, that was an ADD moment. My bad. Fighters are fighters. They use weapons and fight. It's in the name. Monks are combat. They're like the archetypical monk with the robes and the, you know, the fighting monks, like a Shaolin type monk. Just think of that. Think of that. That's what they modeled the monk after, is a Shaolin monk. So anyway, paladins are extremely combat-based clerics, effectively. They have to be lawful good, and their duties are to eliminate evil in all of its forms. They have an ability called Smite Evil, which gives them bonuses against evil creatures. Rangers, think Strider from Lord of the Rings. It's, you know, Rangers either often use 2 weapons or archery. They are stealthy, but purely combat based. They get along in the wild. They have a little bit of magic, but it's more towards the magic that can help them be stealthier or in combat or whatnot. And it's nature-based magic. So rogues are your thieves, your vandals, the people who go around stealing everything and shanking people in the back. Sorcerers and wizards are almost the same. They cast spells. Wizards have to prepare their spells ahead of time, choose what spells they're preparing, and they can switch up what spells they have prepared. Sorcerers, on the other hand, just get spells that they know and they can cast. Wizards know a lot more spells and can learn spells by writing them from scrolls into a spell book. Sorcerers just know what they know. Sorcerers don't have as much in the way of versatility. You can pick spells, but then you're stuck with them. Sometimes you can change up spells every few levels. I don't know if they did that in this game or not. I think they did, but I'm not positive. Wizards, on the other hand, you learn spells, you write them in your book, and then every time before you rest, you can determine what spell you want to set up as your prepared spells. Of the two, I prefer playing wizards because wizards are intelligence-based, and I prefer intelligence-based things. And they have some pretty cool classes that they can look. They are what do you call them? Prestige classes they can take, like the Pale Master, which turns them into a undead wizard type, sort of like a pseudo lich, I suppose. But a rogue wizard multi-class actually is a really good combination. And so to start off with, you'll only have one class. Prestige classes are classes that you can only take after level 6 if you meet the requirements for them. So some of the prestige classes that I like, you got the Shadow Dancer, which are basically stealth-based rogues that can disappear into shadow. I don't know much about the Harper Scout. It's a Neverwinter setting, Neverwinter Night, a Faerun setting prestige class specifically based around an organization. They're dedicated to holding back evil, preserving knowledge, etc., etc. Arcane archers are like, they're wizards that cast spells through a bow. Think, launch an arrow, fireball explodes. Assassin says it in its name. You have to be evil to be an assassin. Blackguards are normally fallen paladins. They're basically the antithesis to paladins. They're evil. They go around hunting good things. And the champion of Torm is sort of a not necessarily lawful, non-evil, not necessarily good, combat-based paladin that fights against evil. Torm is the deity of paladins in the game. And a champion of Torm can be of any class that meets the requirements, but most often they're paladins or fighters or barbarians. I've played a barbarian champion of Torm once. It was really, really cool because rage plus the smite evil that you get from this at level 3 just stacks like Weapon Master, you select one weapon and you become the master of that weapon, being able to deal the most damage with that weapon at all. Pale Master, like I was saying before, is sort of a pseudo lich. The spellcaster loses an arm and replaces it with a skeletal arm and such like that. Shifter is basically a wild shaping druid. Yeah, so apparently wild shape is a thing. Dwarven Defender. Think how to put this? A lawful barbarian. They get an ability called Defensive Stance, which gives them the same bonuses plus a little bit extra constitution that a barbarian gets on, it gives the more defensive version of the barbarian's rage. However, you cannot move while in this stance. I think in 3.0.3.5 Dwarven Defenders, their defensive stance, if they move, they end the stance. So I'm guessing that would be worked into this as well. It doesn't specifically say. Red Dragon Disciple. Now, in regular Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop D&D, the Dragon Disciples can be of any type of dragon. Red, green, blue, chromatic, metallic, doesn't matter. Gold, silver, bronze, doesn't matter. You select one when you take the class, etc. In this game, they limited it just to the Red Dragon Disciple. The Red Dragon Disciple basically is a sorcerer that starts turning into a dragon. Sort of, a half dragon, really. You're a humanoid, you become a humanoid dragon-ish thing. Eventually you'll gain wings that do absolutely nothing because flight is not a thing in this game. It's weird. You gain wings. It just says the character grows red dragon wings. It's literally a cosmetic change. It does nothing for the game. And then Purple Dragon Knight is usually it's specific to a side game called what is it called? Extra content? No. Premium. The Wyvern Crown of Cormyr is where the Purple Dragon Knight comes into. So I won't be doing that one. But we'll be doing the official Wailing Death, starting with the prelude, going through the whole thing. And so whatever class you guys want me to take, whatever, I'll take suggestions. I'll get ideas from you guys. I'm hoping I get a lot of feedback because this is something I've really wanted to do for the longest time. And if I had started my channel when YouTube was just starting to become big back in 06, 07, 08, this is the game I would have played as my first Let's Play. And so I'm like, well, I can't go back in time, but I can still do it as a Let's Play. So now, just so you guys know, if I don't get a lot of feedback, if nobody's like, well, we whatever, I may not even play it. But I mean, I'm going to be playing the game, but you just won't get any content for it, But one of my favorite combinations to play, I love Barbarians. I love different variations on fighters. One that I've been playtesting just a few minutes ago and throughout, testing this is a Crossbow Fighter who uses, it's dexterity based, uses a heavy crossbow, and eventually you can get rapid reload, which allows you to reload your crossbow and fire as many times as you would with a regular bow, and the heavy crossbow does a lot of damage and whatnot. Now, the downside to using a ranged weapon is that the game does not have a lot of special magical ranged weapons. They've got a lot of melee weapons that are special, magical, and ranged, or special and magical, but the ranged weapons, not so much. I've played monks before. I played a barbarian monk at one point, which was interesting because monks have to be lawful, barbarians have to be non-lawful. So this was in the Shadows of Undrentide scenario, which allows you to you can gain chaotic points or lawful points that will allow you to shift your chaos and law thing. In the original campaign that we're playing, only really good and evil are affected by your actions. Your chaos and law don't really change at all, which is disappointing, and it was disappointing when I played it, but that's the way it is. So a barbarian monk would be saved for something where you can switch back and forth with your alignment. I've played rogues, I've played wizards. I mean, if I had to choose one myself, I'd probably just go with either the fighter archery archetype or maybe a barbarian. Heck, I might even just go wild and become a bard and just do a bard. But I also really like the wizard palemaster combination or a wizard rogue combination. Those are really fun. And along the way, you can get companions to follow you to help out with whatever you don't have. You can only have one companion following you at a time. But for example, if you're a fighter and you need someone to pick locks, there's a rogue that can follow you around. Or if you play as a wizard and you need someone to be an upfront fighter to, to tank the enemies, you can hire, there's a fighter that you can hire. You need a healer, they've got one of those. So in any case, those are the options of what to pick. And the alignments, of course, are lawful to chaotic, good to evil. Your basic good, evil, chaos law dynamic. My favorite alignment is chaotic good because it's you do whatever you can do to help whoever you can help without regards to the law. It's your basic vigilante Spider-Man-esque alignment. I would say Spider-Man is either neutral good or chaotic good because he ignores the law to help people. Good characters don't try to kill people, but in this game they die when you get them to 0 anyway, so but you don't go out of your way to kill good neutral people. You actually try to help people, etc., etc. But when it comes to taking orders and following the law, you don't really care. Whereas lawful is the exact opposite. You follow the law, Evil is evil. It should need no... It's interesting. Evil should need no introduction. Everybody should know what evil is. But it's sad that some people don't realize exactly what actions are evil, because in everybody's mind, they have an image of what is evil, which is not the same as what is in everybody else's mind. And it's interesting. I'm not saying anyone's definition of evil is wrong or is, you know, possibly incomplete, but not wrong. And I'm not saying my definition of evil is, you know, evil and good are concepts that man has decided is good benefits people, evil hurts people. That's the basics of it, you know. And so, you know, by that dynamic, selfishness is evil because it hurts other people, and selflessness is good because it helps other people. That's the basics of good and evil as a dynamic in Dungeons and Dragons. But you can play as any alignment. I prefer good or neutral characters. Sometimes chaotic evil's fun, just going around rampaging, doing whatever you want. But I prefer to stay in the good neutral territory when it comes to alignments. And then when you get to the abilities and all that, we'll go over that once we decide which of the classes and all we're going to play, if we decide to play at all. So I want everybody who has gotten this far in the video to leave a comment down below letting me know, A, do you want me to play this game? B, if you do, what class race combination should I start out as? And C, if you have an idea of what you would like me to progress in. For example, if you want me to start off as a rogue and then multi-class into a fighter or a monk or a whatever, or what prestige class you want me to take, put that as number C, letter C. And yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I hope you guys leave comments and interact with this, because I really want to play this game for you guys. And if you guys have played the game, let me know what you think, because I love the game. So in any case, that's all for this. I hope to see you guys in the first episode of Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. And as always, I'm KnowItAllDM, and y'all have a good day now.